to the Wrestling Fan, the Wrestling Show, the big beefy boy Shaz Beef, and today I'm joined by the Beast himself, Mr. Johnny Martos. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Beasting around.
Yeah. Did you enjoy a big wrestling weekend?
I did. Too big in some ways. It was a lot to take in. I didn't watch everything that was on, but I got to it all eventually. Like, All In was the only thing I watched live.
Yeah.
All fucking 8 hours of that experience.
Oh man, that was like, you can look back on the watch along that we did and you can see my enthusiasm just drain. But I was enjoying what I was seeing. But also, there's this weird kind of thing, and I seen a video on it, kind of like making all your hobbies like trying to monetize all your hobbies in a way.
Yeah.
So like wrestling is a massive hobby of mine, and all my previous hobbies like Football Manager made that into a podcast and all that. It's kind of weird the way that's what I'm doing at the moment. You know what I mean? And I always felt watching wrestling, I would leave that to be a bit sacred.
Yeah, man. I just want to scratch my balls in peace.
Yes. Eat some pizza.
I want to keep eating pizza.
Like I look back on the video as I'm looking for clips and shit, and like we're eating Pringles and stuff, and I'm like, why am I doing this?
No, like, I mean, 8 hours was tough enough as it was without been filmed for the consumption of the internet. I don't think it was fun, particularly able for it.
Because I wouldn't hang, like, me and Morrow wouldn't meet up to watch and Dunphy wouldn't meet up to watch a pay-per-view.
But you should.
We should, though. Me and Dunphy have done that before, but like, me and Morrow have only watched it with a camera on us.
What we should do is we should make a plan and do all 2 nights of SummerSlam, and we'll turn the cameras off for a night.
Yeah.
We'll all just
take our pants off,
hang out.
But you enjoyed All In, though.
I very much enjoyed All In. I mean, yeah, it was definitely an endurance test, but it was a really well paced card. Just a fucking load of fun, and a load of things paid off, and the matches were all really good.
Yeah, I think because I've only been watching pay-per-views and I've kind of been burnt out by some of the pay-per-views, a lot of the story maybe was somewhat lost on me, but I enjoyed the matches, which is, you know, wrestling in its full essence is what's happening in the ring.
Very little in terms of backstage stuff. There wasn't advertisers hammering you over the head every fucking 5 minutes. It was a win in my book, you know.
Hangman as well. That match with Mox, and that's going to get into a further podcast that we're going to have about the art of selling and the way Mox, because it came up with the way Mox sold that spot at the end that Hangman won.
Here's how I think that went down. Mox backstage was just like, just fucking hang me, hang me for fucking. I'll do this if I'm dying.
Yeah. And
then he probably let himself get as close to death as he feasibly could have in that moment. And Hangman probably didn't hold back because he was told not to, and that's what they did. That's great sell. Maybe you should put yourself on death's door. No, you probably shouldn't. No, but like, if anyone's going to do it, John Moxley's going to do it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it anyway. And it was somewhat shocking. A lot of people were maybe, particularly over Evolution, WWE's Evolution, they might have expecting a few surprises, maybe a few...
Evolution is a mystery?
Yeah. Well, a few debuts, re-debuts, maybe AJ Lee, maybe Paige coming back into the fold. People were hoping it was going to happen at Evolution. But we didn't get really many shockers in terms of debuts. Shuri debuted in the Casino Battle Royal.
Yeah, that was cool.
But that was really about it. There was no big surprises like Nigel McGuinness.
No, but I did think it was, and much like WWE did to an extent with Evolution, although maybe they didn't have the choice, but like there was a strong focus on the stars of now and how strong these rosters are. And I think both companies presented exceptionally strong female rosters.
Yeah.
And they showed like the depth that they have there.
Yeah.
And they further underlined why there is no excuse to not like use most of these performers productively across both companies, you know.
But it got me thinking about wrestling debuts and how exciting they are in general. You can call it a cheap pop or whatever, but like it really gets the blood going when it happens.
Oh, it does. Yeah, I think it's like, you know, it's the ultimate like innermost pop that you have, even if you're watching wrestling on your own.
Yeah.
Like a debut will...
Like, holy shit.
You'll be popping away there in the room watching it. You know what I mean? It does get you excited. Like, there is something about the sheer surprise of it or how it's done or how it's executed. And I suppose that is the difference between a surprise debut, maybe a debut that's been set up for a long time that, like, you get real excited about, you know?
Yeah. vignettes and that kind of thing. Before we get into it, I'll go into some of our listeners' thoughts on it. And we won't burn through all the thoughts straight away, but we'll definitely circle back to some of them. But there's some quite... You would expect a lot of these people. I put up, say, a picture of Chris Jericho. Obviously Chris Jericho, some people would say
that's probably because it is probably the best debut. It's one of the most famous, kind of rightly so.
But like, I've seen other people argue with that, and we'll get back into it, but how The Rock almost buried him within the 5 minutes, and you're like,
I disagree. I mean, the follow-up is everything, and remember Jericho's follow-up with The Undertaker after that, and kind of going like, this guy might be in trouble. The Rock, I didn't think it was mad egregious because that's the nature of The Rock's character. And
even like when you hear talks about how he buried Billy Gunn in their promo, and Billy Gunn has since laughed about it. He was like, that was just The Rock. That's what he did to everyone.
Sometimes they just need to shit talk each other.
But Y2J came up a bit. Alma Hierro said Y2J is the GOAT, but I love Nexus on Raw, Shield at Survivor Series, Kevin Owens on the main roster was cool too.
They were all pretty cool. I agree with all of them actually, but the Shield is the one where I'm kind of going like, man, there's something real off about those turtlenecks.
Yeah,
you know,
like I loved it.
It just looked like a bunch of fucking. It looked like a bunch of fucking drama students about to do some kind of improvised. fucking.
I was watching that on a plane to Spain.
Yeah.
Had it on my laptop. I had Survivor Series, and I was watching. I was like, who the? Because we heard about Dean Ambrose, the FCW run, the stuff with William Regal, the possibility of him and Mick Foley.
Ambrose was the one. I mean, early 2000s, I don't think there was anybody I was more excited about showing up in WWE.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like in fucking 2010, 2011, you know, you're looking at, even before that, you're looking at this kind of character that's like, you know, as everybody was kind of describing it, and it was completely valid. Like, it was like Heath Ledger's Joker meets Brian Pillman. That was kind of the vibe on the indies. I was like, can this like we'd love this on the telly.
Yeah.
Like, can
he be that guy?
Can that character translate throughout developmental, and he can land with a bit of that fucking energy that we'd love to see? Because, you know, this is an era where we're getting like, man, it's a lot of fucking Ziggler, Swagger, fucking
Miz is just after coming off a run as the world champion.
Anemic shit. You know,
Ryback is starting to come into the fold.
Yeah, well, anytime anything exciting is starting to happen, a la Nexus, a la Summer of Punk, it's neutered so fucking quickly.
Immediately.
Yeah.
And I also kind of want to talk about the narrative of like a great debut that was never followed up on. So does that hinder our thoughts on it being a great debut?
My feeling is the debuts are the debuts, and the debuts are golden, you know, despite where they go. But obviously that does become part of the narrative, because that's how we contextualize a lot of these runs. And like, it's way easier. I mean, Jericho had such an amazing debut.
Yeah.
But it's easier to look back on it and kind of identify it as that when you go like, well, look at his career that he had subsequently.
Same with the Undertaker. Undertaker's debut was like shock and horror, or maybe not horror, but like it was quite muted, but went on to have an all-timer run. Whereas Taz's debut was phenomenal.
Taz's was very much in the mold of Jericho's, and it got insane pop. I would honestly put Taz's up there as in the top 10 of WWE all-time debuts. I mean, it was just a phenomenal moment, but unfortunately, through no fault of his own, it just didn't follow through. He came in at the wrong time, really.
Was there not issues with injuries and stuff as well, or like his back
ultimately
stopped him?
Yeah, but also like he comes in, and then within like 2 fucking weeks, all 4 of the Radicals are there.
Yeah,
and like TV time, even with Austin off, like TV time is tight.
Kevin Owens' main roster debut and beating Cena in his first match, says Jamie Boswell. Martin O'Mac, honourable mention of AJ's debut.
What I will say about Kevin Owens, and I agree with it as a piece of booking and as an introduction to his character, it's a fantastic debut. But when you think of debuts, like a lot of the most fun debuts that we would think of probably involve some kind of earth-shattering pop. And Owens really wasn't that at all. You know, it was the announcers were working overtime to establish who he was. I don't know where that was on the night, but like,
you think a general audience would have known him from his NXT stuff?
You were kind of hoping so. I mean, he put
like Balor had come up from NXT, had just won the title like a bit beforehand.
It was just a little bit more muted for Owens for whatever reason. I mean, keep in mind he was really fast tracked as soon as he landed in NXT.
Yeah,
even though his storyline was like
the same night he went straight into a feud with Sami Zayn, who had just won the title.
Also, he, in that opening, in that debut promo and exchange, he flattens Cena.
Yeah,
and then he goes on to beat him clean in the match. So it's definitely up there in terms of the impact of someone coming in. But on that night when he came out, I'm not sure where that show was, but it was fairly muted. People didn't really have a sense of him.
Honourable mention of AJ Styles' debut. When they took ages to reveal it on the TV, all we had was just the crowd pop.
Well, I watched that live, and that was just symptomatic of really bad Kevin Dunn direction.
You've seen it with Edge's spear
in the fucking truck. You've seen it with Edge's spear. Edge comes back, which was a shocker.
But is Martin saying so? This is Martin O'Mac saying it, but is he saying that the intentional look at Roman going kind of that added to it quite possibly?
No, in terms of the balance of the shots that they use, this is getting really detailed about it, but it was fantastic to have that shot of Roman look at the screen and kind of go, furrows his brow, and he's going it was such a good sell, and it was such a subtle sell. And it was one of those times where even back in the fucking thick of the big dog character, I was going this man's a fucking tidy actor. When he's got good stuff to work with, he's really tidy actor. But the problem is they stay too long on Roman, so we didn't get to see the scene, the screen where it had the reveal of Phenomenal, which was the thing that caused the pop. But no, it was still a fantastic debut because of that. Look, they've done re-edits of it where you can kind of see it a lot cleaner.
Jared Daughter D16 says it has to be AJ Styles 2016 Royal Rumble.
It's up there, definitely.
Mark O'Dowd, Nexus debut was awesome. Love Kevin Owens'
Definitely
main roster debut. Someone says, or the golden one, Robert, I don't think he got the message, but he said, bring back Dink the Clown. There has to be a little tribal chief. So
Dink the Clown.
Yeah,
remember
Dink had a dink.
I don't look too fondly on Dink's debut.
No, Bryan Danielson.
I was very fucking scared at the time.
Bryan Danielson, AEW, Chris Jericho in WWE.
Bryan Danielson, AEW. Yeah. You surely have to fold Adam Cole into that.
Yeah, well,
I think that's the best one of this decade so far. Well, just the balls of a double debut, and to do it at a time where it didn't feel like overkill, and both guys got fucking insane pops. I think the Danielson Cole, that's an all-timer.
Do you think so? I thought,
yeah, definitely,
because we were just only a few weeks removed from AJ or from CM Punk's debut in AEW, and this was, I think I said to someone before, during the COVID period, it seemed like AEW were burning through all these guys been brought in. So you got Sting brought in during that time. You got FTR brought in during that time. Malachi Black was brought in during that time. Miro was brought in. Brody Lee was brought in. It just seemed like
Brody Lee's AEW debut was fantastic.
Well, it just seemed
like the antithesis of Matt Hardy's on the same show.
Yeah, Matt Hardy up in the crowd. And
where you've been following AEW and they're not even in the first year of their existence, and you're going, it's been really, for the first time in 2 decades, you're getting really sound, kind of logical, long-term storytelling. And then Matt Hardy shows up in an empty fucking football stadium as some kind of force ghost.
Starts transporting around.
And I remember looking at that going, fuck, they've really kind of fucked this here now.
Yeah, even in the Stadium Stampede that he was in, where he was coming back.
And I guess the whole cinematic thing is good, but you not in that context. Not at that fucking time. And there's also has to be a smarter, logical fucking way for that to work and for the heels to get freaked by it, rather than the man is literally teleporting around an empty fucking arena.
I really like the idea.
Conversely, Brody Lee's was well built up for fucking weeks, nearly months, and it completely, despite the fact that it was in an empty arena, God knows what that would have been if it was fucking a packed audience in Rochester, New York, like it was supposed to be. But they made the best out of it, despite the lack of pop. But the lead into it was fucking great.
So, in general, when it comes to debuts, there's probably 2 different types. There's the surprise debut, and then there is the build up for a debut, where you get vignettes and that kind of thing. Particularly during the New Generation era, I remember being it wouldn't have been more a surprise. It would have been we're going to build up Razor Ramon, or we're going to build up Nails. Instead of just having
they were built up to fantastic debuts. Weirdly enough, we've talked about the New Generation at length, but the build-ups were very good, and it's really weird, because Vince has some stellar all-timer performers have debuted to no fanfare. you can use any amount of examples. I'll use Brock as like the biggest one, say, for example. But and that's like some of the most talented people you've ever fucking seen. In the mid-90s, early to mid-90s, they were so lacking on star power in terms of the wrestlers and good wrestlers that they had to take a lot of like duds and really overbuild them up, you know, like really emphasize who these characters were via the vignettes.
And a lot of it would have been repackaged guys that they've previously used as well, wouldn't it?
It would have been in a lot of cases. Like, a lot of these were shit, but then you've got some of like the best vignette work you've ever seen. Razor Ramon, I think, is a really good example of that. Goldust was a fantastic build. Mankind was a fantastic build.
Oh, I remember.
Waylon Mercy was a fantastic build. Who else did you have in that era?
Friar Ferguson.
He didn't get. He
just showed up one day.
He didn't get much of a build up. I mean, they did it with with Berta Faye in the women's division as well. They were less good. But Dean Douglas, like, that's a really bad vignette. That's like a man teaching class.
Yeah.
I mean, at least with the others, you're going, Jesus Christ, all of these people seem like fighters and they're terrifying.
Mick Foley's one in particular in '96. I always remember having such an impact on
again, you got a guy who's an amazing performer, and the character work that he brought to that. Dean Douglas is like, he's in front of a bunch of fucking kids teaching a class.
Yeah.
And everyone's got to look at him and go like, what's he going to fucking do? You know, he's immediately going up against we don't see him being like a tough teacher. He's just an annoying teacher.
Yeah, Matt Striker.
Matt Striker is a great.
What about the 1, 2, 3
example.
kid though? As a debut,
amazing.
Because again, the Lightning Kid.
Was he just even called the Kid? Maybe he was.
He was the Lightning Kid before.
I
he
lost
became
my shit when that happened at the time because I hadn't seen an example of somebody debuting like that where they're kind of been positioned as a jobber, but they're a jobber in disguise.
Yeah.
And that was Sean Waltman when he signed. And it was a fantastic way of building up his character. That was a great debut because, again, it played against like the conditioning. All the jobbers lost. They do another version of that in about 2 years' time, with Barry Horowitz. But actually, that wasn't the same. Like, Kid was a debut. Horowitz had been well established for up to 6-7 years as this like jobber with a character. He had a loosely defined gimmick. He's always good in the ring. So when he actually became a featured performer, it was really effectively done. You wouldn't call it a debut so much. Waltman was, and that was again a surprise debut because like of the nature of it, and it kind of plays against kind of these preoccupations or these like preconceptions, that you have about. Same with like Danielson and Cole. Nobody's going to expect 2 debuts on top of each other. You don't want to do that all the time, but doing it once is really effective.
Like messing around with the whole preconceived notions of what wrestling is, such as making 2 debuts, having a jobber, so to speak, win. They're always the memorable things.
There's been
I even notice it when I'm watching wrestling and they do the international spot. And they just mess around with the dynamic of the international spot. You're preconceived, or like a hot tag.
Yeah.
Like if a hot tag doesn't come off, you're like, wait, what just happened? Yeah, okay, that's kind of cool.
You play off of preconceptions. I mean, people, you've got like Earthquake had a debut where he was like a plant in the audience. So his debut is as a plant.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how he's introduced, Then you've got like, someone like fucking Doink, for example, you get weeks of this very, subtle build-up for the time. And it doesn't look out of place that there's a clown in the audience entertaining people. I remember watching that as it was unfolding at the time. And, it was about 3 or 4 weeks in when I was kind of thinking, oh, like, the clown is a wrestler? Is he a wrestler? Then when he trucks Crush with his, his fatal lead arm, it was really shocking. But that was a really nice way of bringing in a character like that.
What about Bam Bam? The way they brought him in initially in like 88 was like so many people were vying for his services.
Yeah, they did a similar stuff when they re-debuted Scott Steiner in 2002. Because that was the brands kind of fighting out for him. Again, similar thing they did with MVP to slightly different level.
2003, wasn't it?
2003. Skyner debuted late 2002. Yeah,
he did,
MVP was a little while after that. But with Bam Bam, it was very effective because you've got all of the managers in the entire company who are just like trying to vie for this guy, and then you see this fucking guy, and he's got flames on his head, and he's dressed in flames, and he does cartwheels and fucking moonsaults, and he's a tank, like. Bam Bam came in with Impact. It's kind of sad then because when he came back in '93, there was very little. It was just a couple of like in-camera things. Like I wasn't as aware of. He didn't make as much of an impression as he should have. Like I didn't see him debut in '88, but seeing the build up to it, like subsequently. But his 1993 re-debut is really kind of tame.
Like WWE, did they utilize that much of like the shocking debut that much in the golden generation or the new generation era. Like it became quite a crutch in wrestling years later.
No, like keep in mind, like it's interesting how like the ones we talk about has been successful. For example, the Jerichos, the Tazes, the what you call it? Jeez, the name's gone out of my head.
Kane.
No, the fucking four boys, the Radicals. When they debuted, like they're all debuting as themselves.
Yeah.
Or they're debuting with their names intact mostly, and as the characters that they got over with. I think what muted it a lot in the 80s and 90s, particularly in WWE, is that like everyone's coming in repackaged.
Well,
they don't want you fucking cheering for the guys, you know. Even the ones that are over in the last territory don't come back in with that gimmicks. This was more common in the 80s and then again in the late 90s during the Monday Night War. But in the early 90s, you're going like, oh, he's not Johnny B. Bad anymore.
Yeah.
Steve Austin is with the $1 Million Man, and he's a master of the ring.
Well, what about the Legion of Doom then? Because they kind of got to keep their same aesthetic. I know they were changed from the Road Warriors,
but he
to the Legion of Doom.
mildly tried to change him. Keep in mind, like he's got. It's a weird one because like they came in, they were definitely past their prime a little bit, but they sold a lot of merchandise, and he still does changes to the Legion of Doom. Like that's fully what it is. It's not like nods to the Warrior thing, but also by the time they debut. And they debuted pretty well, but it didn't have the impact it would have had in like fucking 87 or 88, because at that point you've already gone through two kind of Road Warrior effectively knockoff teams.
Powers of Pain
and Demolition themselves. So when the actual Road Warriors show up then in 91, you're just going like, oh yeah, they're there now. Fighting loads of lads that look like them.
Like and Dusty got to kind of keep the name, but he was still like he was in my polka dots, baby.
I got a soft spot for the polka dots.
Yeah,
I do. I like.
How did Dusty debut? Do you know?
I don't, and I've looked for it. I think it was like a random house show in Madison Square Garden against Ted DiBiase. He just comes out and he's Dusty Rhodes.
That's what I mean. Like they didn't utilize that type of.
But he did get vignettes to bring him like before the match,
because he was on the back of a garbage truck.
We talk about the occupational gimmicks of the 1990s, and like when you look at Dusty debuting, what was it, like around 89, like debuting, but like in Vince's WWF version of it, and his gimmick was all the occupational gimmicks.
Yeah, he was everything.
He was a pizza delivery man. He was a plumber.
Garbage
what
man.
else did he fucking do? I don't know, like fucking neuroscience.
Probably, yeah.
You know. Fucking
stock trader. No, he wasn't. He was a people's people.
Built quarries. He did lots of things. No, but like it was positioning him as this kind of working class savior type character, which again did fit with his gimmick. But it was weird just putting him in all the occupational stuff. Dusty made it work though. Not everyone can make it work.
So like Earthquake's debut, as you said, as the plant.
Earthquake Evans, but even he was called something else, John Evans or something.
Was he?
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck
like
it was.
That,
some fake name, and then he drops Warrior.
For the time, that was pretty like...
That was novel as well. In the same way that like when Santino Marella debuted.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
Milan Miracle.
And I, like at the time, I was ironically in Italy at the time that was happening. And that was, I saw it, I was like, fuck, I was like, this Italian guy, wonder if he's well known here. And then it started put together and I was like, oh shit, that's the guy Jim Cornette slapped the shit out of because he laughed at the boogeyman on camera.
Yeah. What about Nicholas?
You're talking about the child.
The child coming from the crowd.
I wouldn't even acknowledge it.
To win the tag team championship.
That is like, I would go as far as say maybe top 3 in the worst things I've ever experienced in wrestling. That I like really... You know, I don't want to even give it the I don't want to give it the energy of my hate.
Was it up against the bar?
It was up against the bar. It was just one of the worst ideas ever, badly executed. Just no place in wrestling.
Had to drop the title straight away.
There was just something broke in me watching that. And I knew.
Why am I watching this?
I knew that me and WWE were kind of very much done, at least in Vince McMahon times. Like that was kind of the main thing that severed it. I was like, this is never going to get to a level I can feel.
That fan thing can never be done now, though.
It just doesn't feel respectable anymore somehow. Like, yeah, you can do the fan thing of the like Eugene was like, it's not great in retrospect, but at least there was a little bit of a story to bring him in with. It's like, oh yeah, somebody has to bring
Eric Bischoff's nephew around the place.
You know, has to bring Bischoff's nephew has to hang around for a while, and he's kind of supposed to be kind of a savant. Now, it wasn't in the best taste, but I do think the fundamentals of that gimmick had something in them.
But what I'm saying is you can't bring you can't have a gimmick of a fan now because everyone is so
you can like it worked for Zach Gowen as well because ultimately they
but that's over 20 years ago.
No, but that's because they all retcon it. Like nobody ever came in as Maven had a really interesting debut because we know that this guy has just started training and he's just gone through the training. At least with the likes of like a Zach Gowen or Santino Marella, like they used a kind of surprise, and they let it kind of make you think that's what it is, and then within a show or two they're going, this guy actually he's a lot of experience, he's trained in this, and same with Eugene to a degree. Like,
what I'm saying is
they're not going to look at Nicholas and just be like, this lad was in the New Japan dojo actually,
but that's what
fill it in.
That's what I'm saying.
This kid's been working there for 2 years.
I'm saying now in the world of WWE, you couldn't have a Raw, someone coming out win the Intercontinental title without actually knowing that that's a person from NXT, that's a person from New Japan, that's a person that they previously were at NWA.
Like, look at the fucking celebrities they work with. Like they pop anyone out. Jelly Roll's about to have a match.
Celebrities. I'm talking about debuting
he's
in a
having
new
a match
character.
Travis Scott can't fucking work, as we all knew anyway.
Say Ricky Saints, Starks, whatever. Say he never debuted on NXT, and that was his gimmick. As he's coming in as just a random fan in the bit. Like, you couldn't.
They won't do that because they're not dumb.
Exactly. What I'm saying
they know
is
we're not anymore.
You couldn't repeat what you did with John Tenta and what you did with Santino Marella and Zach Gowen, because as fans we were all too smart, and within a minute, even when you're looking at the security guys, there's Damien Corvin, there's Will Cruz. I know these security guys are
okay, Shane, that might well be the rule, but there are exceptions. Like, they could have done that with Omos if they hadn't decided he was going to be a giant ninja.
Actually,
but feasibly,
that is true.
They kept this fucking Nigerian giant under wraps for long enough. They kind of did not in a high impact way, but maybe they could have debuted Jacob Fatu in a way where he immediately wins a title.
No,
but it was a strong enough debut as it was.
What I'm saying, as a fan.
As a fan.
That's what I'm trying to say.
No,
I'm saying, you can't pick someone out in the crowd. That's what I'm trying to say. And go, this is a fan and they're having this opportunity.
I feel you could find guys.
Almost, maybe, but then you're like, no one's going to pick.
But if they found a prospect, like what I'm saying is, if they found a prospect like Omos in some country and like they wanted to do something like that, and he was quietly trained and he wasn't put on in NXT like Omos wasn't, like Braun Strowman managed to avoid. I mean, I definitely had that moment when Strowman debuted. It was a very cool gimmick.
Yeah,
he was the ideal addition to a Wyatt family that had been kind of
meandering.
They'd been meandering because of bad booking, and he was a real shot in the arm at the time.
Check out our Bray Wyatt documentary.
And they used the kind of black sheep gimmick. And also, I was looking at him going, who the fuck is this guy? And then you can use Google and you can find out, Adam Scherr, he's a bodybuilder. But he's still pretty fresh in terms of the product at that time, because we haven't seen him go through a rigmarole. He's not like fucking Eli Cottonwood, the forgotten, lost Wyatt member who just stunk the place out, unfortunately, and didn't take to it. But, you can't debut someone cold and clean. As a fan...
I just don't think it'll...
I think it can be done. I think it can be done.
Because of the developmental system has become a brand. So now to be in the developmental system, you have to go through another developmental system. And I just don't see many people bypassing that, going straight to the main roster. Unless you're someone experienced like Jacob Fatu or indeed AJ Styles, who did it back in 2016. Just those type of debuts of...
It depends on the role, and how your debut, because some guys can debut without fanfare. I'll give you another debut that people will not talk about for probably the right reasons, but just in terms of what it was and how unique it was. Brad Maddox, the kind of ineffectual authority figure that they had for a while, but what he screwed over Punk in a major... No, Ryback.
He
screwed over Ryback in a major match against Punk. Yeah,
in Hell in a Cell.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But the whole thing was, like, the gimmick then became, what the reveal was, this was a bitter wrestler who couldn't be called up to the main roster because they felt he wasn't good enough. So he decided to work as a referee, and then he would take out his frustration on certain wrestlers. Yeah. And he became completely bribable. And that was it. And he segued into like a general manager role then. He wasn't very great, but I thought that was a very novel way, and it was a nice inversion of like the Danny Davis emergence in the 80s as well, where it was like crooked referee becomes a wrestler.
Yeah.
So, like once certain tropes and characters and ideas are established in relation to debuts, you can kind of subvert them. Some people do it very skillfully, and
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is just
some people don't.
We are quite very well aware of the amount of or of even independent wrestlers that are currently working now.
I mean, what's the hottest debut you think could happen? Like that's in the mix right now that could happen.
I don't know. I genuinely don't know. It'd probably just be a re-debut. Like who could show up in AEW or vice versa in
The
WWE?
one I was kind of primed for in AEW that I thought could have significant impact, but I'm not sure it's going to happen now, was Shayna Baszler. I thought there was something. I was kind of sniffing this idea that she ends up in some kind of equalizer for Hangman against Shafir because of their relationship in like the MMA Four Horsewomen. Yeah. And that would be a.
What about Rousey? Would she?
Rousey just did a very low key AEW debut effectively with Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
Which was kind of cool, and she did it went in and had a match. But it wasn't like it was.
Rousey, now that you mentioned Rousey, would have been a fairly.
That was a big debut.
And
yeah.
he would have licensed the song.
Which is very important. They're stalking you when a song gets licensed for your debut.
But I think
they
that's
didn't fucking do that with Sandman. I tell you that much.
I think that's quite well. They did for One Night Stand.
They did for One Night Stand,
and that's why it was so memorable. But when you look at,
and is that why the rest of his WWE run wasn't that memorable?
Pretty much, it's just the song. The music is a massive part of him. Like Edge's debut in AEW, you think you know him, like a great way to mess around with the start. But like it's still Metalingus. You had Jeff Hardy come out to the Hardy Boys theme.
People were kind of anticipating Copeland. He's had some great ones. Like his first debut in 1998 was a really effective one. I didn't know who he was. Hadn't seen him. Like he wasn't a WCW guy, but he was a little bit. But I didn't know that. But he seemed so fresh. The vignettes that built him up, and he was coming in when WWE was really, really hotting up. As this mystery guy came for the crowd, broke a guy's fucking neck in his first match. I was like, a teenager watching that, going like, this guy's fucking great. Like, who is he? I don't know if you could do it now because everybody's aware of it. But even at the time, you could read fucking Power Slam and someone's like, oh yeah, Sexton Hardcastle is coming into WWF. And I'm like, I don't know who that is, but these Edge vignettes look badass, and it's a big help with someone who you're not familiar with.
And re-debuts the same, like when he comes back after the neck injury at the Rumble,
and when he came back again,
and again,
and then he debuted here.
Christian's debut and then re-debut, they're like chalk and cheese. Like he comes out as like, helping Edges as his brother, but then when he re-debuts back in ECW,
that man's never had a good run of any kind of debuts or re-debuts. Something's got fucked up. Either he's booked to look stupid, or he wears really dumb, like disgusting looking jeans, like he did with TNA. Look at his TNA debut. Look at like literally, like he's walking out of a fucking ice tunnel. It's like he's just after coming out of Jackson Langton's, like with fucking a bit of dry ice around circa fucking 2002. It's a horrible look, and that's how he debuts in TNA. Then in WWE they bring him back in the ECW band.
It's Christian Todd Gresham.
He was told specifically, apparently, by Vince McMahon to like, don't sell it, don't be excited about this lad returning. Here's how excited we are. He was supposed to be in this prime, like, who fucking destroyed Jeff Hardy storyline along with Edge and Matt.
I got ruined or something.
Vince just had a bugbear because in 2005 Christian was like, are you going to push me as the main eventer? And Vince was like, no. And Christian's like, right, I'm just going to go off and be a main eventer somewhere else then. And he did. And then he comes back after whatever it was, like 4 years.
Yeah.
And Vince just fucking buried him. Yeah.
But like he did end up getting a good run eventually.
He did, because he's one of the greatest of all time. But he was constantly given shit. And even his AEW debut, everyone was expecting It was like someone way bigger at the time.
Yeah, well, everyone, because they hyped this up as like one of the biggest acquisitions in AEW's.
And like the just debuting fucking Big Show is the one who, like, he's the herald for whoever this guy is. So everyone's going like, who the fuck is this? Is this Punk?
Yeah.
Or
it seemed like it was a damn script. And for a while it kind of he didn't find his footing until he like turned on Jack Perry.
Yeah, he started to build good momentum when he was with Luchasaurus and Jack Perry.
He started doing the stuff with like Omega. He won the TNA title, or it was close to winning the TNA title. I think
Christian's very different to Cope. Cope's had like just loads of stunning debuts and re-debuts, and poor Christian has not really had. Maybe Matt and Jeff are a bit like that as well. I remember Jeff's re-debut in TNA when they had like Bischoff and stuff in. He just kind of came out of the crowd and like hung out at the top of a cage. Was he locked?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, maybe the Hardys aren't a good example of this.
Raven's debut in WWE as Raven was
very
quite
cool at the time because of the sheer pop it got.
Yeah, like with Taz and Jerry Lawler's.
He didn't.
feud.
I mean, he didn't have a terrible run, actually. Like all things considering that Vince hates him and he's probably working for the company by accident. Somebody signed him to a contract by accident, and he's probably not the most agreeable fucking person. Vince obviously decided not 10 years gone that he didn't want him around, but Big Pop at the time, like, what could have been, you know? But for what it was good. You know, people were very responsive to Raven showing up.
And like the invasion and like having WCW was so fucking important. So like you think of the going from WCW to WWE, you think of
like the invasion was a whole slew of debuts. Not
Booker
the debuts
T coming out fucking attacking.
Booker's
Stone
not great.
Cold.
Again, like I do think your fit is pretty important. Booker T just looked like he was after just coming away from a fucking child's communion in Florida or something.
Like.
No, it's just his get up, his clothes. It's like, what are you wearing? Like,
I was Booker T.
You're cleaning fucking Austin out, but we know you've got fucking like insane fucking spandex.
Well,
you're jacked with flames all over it.
Vince used to do this though. Like Vince used to. I remember
wear a fucking Guy Fieri t-shirt for a while. Or
I remember him reading Batista's book, and Vince wanted Batista to go by suits because he wanted him to cover up his body, so he didn't rely on his look. He had to find something else.
Yeah, it sounds like Vince McMahon, right? Cover up your big muscly body, please.
But that's what Batista said. Like he had to, because he got by in OVW on like his sheer size and like how impressive he looked, and Vince wanted him to tap into something else. So maybe that could be a thing going right. You're going to look stupid, but you're going to have to overcome this.
I do think like bad clothes can really like, you know, dampen a debut. You want to be coming out in fucking fairly
or like
cool gear, or just
like
your ring gear, like.
Or like don't be wearing a mask revealing you're a stalker.
DDP got
done dirty.
He got done dirty in a big way. It wasn't like the pop was massive when he pulled that balaclava off, and you're going, yeah, but then you're like, oh, he's stalking this man's wife, and he's been sending really fucked up videos for months.
And
this isn't DDP's got a real hot wife, and like, let's just call a spade a spade. If you saw Undertaker, this is Undertaker pre Michelle McCool. Don't be throwing too much shade on the woman, but like, if your wife is Kimberly Page, you don't want to be stalking Sarah, Mrs. Undertaker, who we've seen show up, like, you know, wouldn't be the best in the charisma department anyway, at the very least. The whole thing just fell apart in terms of actual suspension of disbelief.
But like the pop itself, that has to be up
the
there.
The pop is cool, sure. It's fucking DDP in WWE. He's like, the invasion was just wanting for stars, because we're all kind of going, Goldberg might show up now, and Hall, Nash, Hogan, we'll get Steiner in, Flair, Bischoff, okay,
Mysterio,
Sting, even. Well, like, but then
Sting.
Like any of them that do show up a year later. So like, in terms of the big names, you got Booker T, wasn't a great debut. He injures Austin as well, which caused some fucking heat. He, again, as I said, showed up. It's the fucking summer child's communion gear. Might as well have had a bowl of potato salad in his hand. Didn't have a good first impression for Booker T. DDP, you know, like,
immediately paired with Canyon and gets buried at SummerSlam.
Yeah, like, who had a good debut out of the
Mike Awesome before he was gone.
Mike Awesome a little bit, but it was a bit
powerbombed the guy on the ladder.
Lance Storms was cool because Lance was one of the few guys who came in with genuine heat from WCW, who's like who had been booked very well and very prominently, and he's the first person who slides into a ring, and he looked cool. And I don't know who he played out with. Albert or someone.
He eventually gets buried as well, though.
He's not long getting buried like them all. But yeah, the invasion did not have a slap of good debuts or reveals like they could have.
So, like, after that, you start getting like the vignettes for like Kenzo Suzuki, in 2004. You start getting like the build up. You're
a big fan of Hade Vanson's.
Yeah, Hade Vanson's was cool. Kazarni.
I kind of bit for Kazarni at the time because I was like, oh, Carnival Freak. Okay, this it was cool. It was like, there was not a lot of great fucking gimmicks around the time. Bashams were doing this fucking weird like S&M thing,
but there wasn't like a lot of companies in which stars were created that they could do a jump over. So,
but they were still repackaging them. Like, that's why, you know, Marcus Corvon and Chris Harris. Like, anyone who
R-Truth is no longer Ron Killings.
Here's the thing, like, late 98, 99, 2000, 2001 kind of debuts are really effective, and that's why we remember them fondly. Yeah. Because that's at a point where WWE are in a war with WCW, and they want to show these guys that they're trying to entice over. hey, we'll let you keep your like they did
Big Show,
like they've done this fucking this decade with ex AEW guys. Yeah, keep your like Cody's obviously the obvious example of that. But because you're in a war, they're trying to ensure guys that we'll handle you properly. You want your gimmick's gotten over, we're going to use that. Whereas in the Monopoly periods, it's more so like, we're going to repackage it. Whether you're fucking, this is WCW in the early 90s or mid 90s, or whether it was fucking TNA guys, like they were repackaging them just to show that these guys aren't competition.
Were they also repackaging them just to kind of be like, you're not proven on like a major scale? Like when you're talking about
there's a degree of that. Like, I mean, look, they're doing versions of it now. I mean, Mariah May had a kind of cool,
that's a cool name,
intro, but you're kind of at the same time you're kind of going like, fuck, like, what's wrong with Mariah May?
Yeah, Blake Monroe or Ricky Saints. But then again, you have Penta coming over and Ray Phoenix coming over, and they're keeping their name. And I'm kind of like, is that a Mexico thing?
No,
is that
I think
because
that was,
like they're hot in Mexico?
I think that was just more, hey, other AEW guys, come sign with us and we'll let you be yourselves and we'll push you to the moon. Now, in fairness, there's a degree of marketability. Like, they weren't doing it for Sean Spears, but with Penta, at least they wanted to maximize. Not that Sean Spears has been used badly, actually. He's
Spears' name again?
He was previously Ty Dillinger.
Is he Ty Dillinger now?
No, he's Sean Spears. He came back to Sean Spears.
That's what I'm
from
saying.
AEW. Yeah. And rocking a version of like the chairman gimmick, which actually was his most successful act in AEW anyway, certainly. So,
but going back to those, like what I'm trying to say is, once you have a serious company to go up against, that's when the surprising class debuts happen. So that's when you're getting like even ECW's in the fold. So that's when you're getting Taz. That's when you're getting the Dudley Boys. That's when you're getting Jericho. That's when you're getting the Big Show. Like the Big Show's debut in itself was phenomenal. He was made look like a bit of a dumbass by throwing Austin through the cage, but it was still.
Why was he a dumbass? He fucked Steve Austin through the cage.
Austin. I remember at the time.
Oh, because Austin won.
Yeah, I remember at the time as a kid, I was like, this guy's strong,
but this guy doesn't know his own strength.
Yeah, he's so stupid.
That's his fatal flaw. He doesn't know his own strength.
Or the radicals showing up.
There's a load of fatal flaws.
The radicals showing up in the crowd.
That was a lot, 4 at once. But you know what? They made it impactful. It was one of the first times where they were like, WCW, because you knew they were in the war, because part of the storyline was like they were just at a WCW pay-per-view last night. They're fucking here tonight. And that was exceptionally effective because of that. So you kind of like, you completely absorbed and processed why 4 guys would show up at once. And you're also excited because it's like 4 guys, 4 of the best guys from WCW who show up with their exact names.
Yeah. Same with Luger back in 1995.
Well, that was just a WCW.
I know it was re-debut,
but when he shows up in WWE, he has a little interview piece. We get a taste of it at WrestleMania 8, and he's the pure total package character. It's exactly what he should have showed up, and every permutation of him should have just been the same vein of that character. But when they do like debut him properly in early 1993, it's as the narcissist, and he's got this whole fucking shit around him. That he's got mirrors and he's got frills that he doesn't need, and he's got shit music. And you're kind of going like, why are we doing this? Like with so many of these guys.
But what I'm saying is, it's like the example that you use for the Radicals. I know he had previously been in WCW, but when Luger shows up on Nitro, on the first ever fucking Nitro,
his Nitro debut as such, but that was cool because similarly enough, it was like the Radicals. It was like a jump.
Rick Rude,
Rick Rude,
same night.
But he shows up. Yeah, what a way to do it. Like he shows up on both shows one night, and Nitro's the live one and Raw's the pre-tape. What a way to debut, and you haven't even told Vince that you're leaving.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
Which was the same in fairness what Luger did, I mean, it wasn't. That's like same as Medusa as well. Like it's a re-debut. You've been in this company before, but it's effective because you've been in this company before and you're debuting in a different way, coming off a relatively successful WWE run.
But Kane, that was a re-debut of sorts because he was fake Diesel. He was Isaac Yankem.
Like that was a rare one that you're never going to get. Like the debut of certain characters where the buy-in is like, it's not some indie guy. It's not a character unique in and of itself. The sell of the character is their relationship to an existing character that we've invested in. So they go, it's Kane. We find out that the Undertaker's got a brother. He's called Kane.
Yeah.
He's been hidden away for a long time or presumed dead. It changed a little bit. And we know his face has been burnt. So you're like all of those things that play out. And for WWF at the time, and they were in a war. So like there were certainly before 99 anyway. Long-term booking was a little better in as much as it could be in a chaotic era. But the Kane storyline was fairly well planted, and it came off the Paul Bearer heel turn, and it came off Bearer taking charge of Vader and Mankind.
Yeah, because he turned at 96 SummerSlam with the Boiler Room Brawl.
Yeah, Kane does come into late 90s, like October 97. So this feud has been building, and it's a really cool culmination of it. But that character is established by their relationship. I mean, there's ways you could do that. Maybe there's not ways you could do it now. Like the Hate Vanson thing was kind of actually an attempt at that, because it was supposed to be inferred that this guy was like the Undertaker's illegitimate son.
Yeah, oh, was it?
That was supposed to be the vibe initially, then they tapered back on it, and then I don't know, Triple H buried him in the booking meeting, and it got fucked up.
The bloodline kind of stuff is following
the thing there is like you just googled a relative, so like I mean, what's tasty about it is that like any amount of them can show up. Is it Zilla Fatu next? Probably will be at some point. But we're aware of all these people. Like everybody was, we were anticipating Jacob, we were anticipating Hikuleo, all the Tongas. Like so. That's only effective in that, like, based on who's out there, they may show up. But like, I don't know what you could do now. Like, is there some kind of secret son of Sting? You know what I mean? Like
Darby.
Well, it's Darby, isn't it? But the Wyatt Six was kind of effective in that way, because again, it was trading a relationship to previously existing characters and highlighting the connections between them. Oh, it's his brother. And I know Howdy had technically kind of debuted. But the whole Wyatt Six package was similar-ish to Kane in ways, because it's an extension, and it's trading off our willingness to buy in on a character that we have fondness for.
Yeah, that's it. That's quite interesting.
Which sometimes can be fucked up when Shelton Benjamin's mother shows up or something like that, and that's not a good way of doing that type of gimmick.
The way it's in itself, and Bray's like reincarnation as the Fiend at SummerSlam is something that always, and like when he came back at, was it Extreme Rules?
Yeah, he had slick debuts all around,
and it was the cryptic nature of some of his of the secondary or. After the Fiend, he got fired, and then he came back. It was the cryptic nature of that comeback, and like how Chris Jericho was really good at using kind of cryptic stuff.
We all love puzzles, man. Give us more puzzles.
And they're like, this is the coordinates for this
just
website.
Hopping off QR codes.
Class, man.
You know, fucking doing Morse code, like sending messages in pigeons. Give us all of it.
It rewards you for paying attention.
It does, and I think that's a big part of the joy of certain debuts. I mean, CM Punk's AEW debut, which was monumental at the time. That was just on with a couple of like loose inferences.
Same when his WWE re-debut at SummerSlam.
But they weren't teeing that up. Like, it wasn't teed up in any way.
It kind of was like the way they were referencing like the best in the world, and Seth Rollins was kind of saying stuff like that. I know it wasn't confirmed, but there was maybe it's like that thing where if you read Moby Dick, you can find references for 9/11. Did you ever hear that? No. Like,
did that whale cause 9/11?
Yeah, I think so.
I haven't read the end of Moby Dick, but I'm shocked to learn.
But it's
what kind of a fucking time jump
if you look hard enough at stuff, you might be able to find kind of like, you know, the Paul is dead theory for Beatles. And
yeah, like conspiracy theories can be a fun thing to play with in wrestling, but like they have to lead somewhere. You know what I mean? Like you can definitely draw your conclusions based around some things, but like, don't be disappointed then when someone shows up that you didn't think it was going to be. You know, when your expectation, all the mysteries you've been solving in your head that didn't actually exist don't work out,
and then getting pissed off that,
and then getting pissed off. It's like, well, no, that's not the storyline they're telling. And like,
fuck, it's Christian.
I understand disappointment. I mean, like, believe me, like in whatever it was, 2013, 2014, all those weird Undertaker vignettes, and then those other vignettes where it was like, you know, Johnny Cash, Ain't No Grave was playing, and you're like, they're building up Sting. And to be so disappointed when you're just getting another Undertaker Triple H fucking match.
I remember how bad that felt. I was like, it is Sting. It has to be Sting.
I know I talked about Nicholas as been like the final straw for me, but like this shit was building for years. But that was one of them.
He ultimately came to WWE in 2014, and that was cool enough. It looked like
it was cool enough. Yeah, it was cool enough. It would have been so much cooler. That should have been just Sting appearing in the ring behind Triple H.
Yeah, instead of coming out of the crowd.
He was just
with not even like the proper music.
The pop was good, but like, again, it was just like they presented him too much in that run as like this old daughter and ex-WCW. Oh, look, he's ex-WCW. Whereas AEW, when they debuted him, it was like Sting. He's kind of like a Phantom of the Opera type character. Yeah. He shows up. Like he's booked like the fucking iconic character is. He's not like
and that's like
WWE did eventually do that with him, but it was too late.
Kurt Angle. Like when he came into TNA, he was built immediately as a fucking threat. Like I remember it was at the end of Slammiversary or something.
Samoa Joe's going headbutt me for real,
but like
and then he does, and it looks class.
It was at the end of a match though. They just showed a little vignette of him kind of standing. It was the end of a pay per view. I thought it was going to be Goldberg or something, but it was Kurt Angle.
Peak Angle,
and then fucking like Samoa Joe in NXT when his music hit, and I was like, what the fuck is happening?
If you listen back to that tune, is not as effective. Like the intro was the same, but like it was way more meandering.
It was
got a big calypso or something. I don't know what's going on.
Like it's Samoa Joe.
Yeah, Samoa Joe walking in WWE, and he's got a towel.
It's
all there, you know. That was a great debut, yeah. And like I do think that all of us in our heart of hearts want surprise debuts the most.
Yeah,
they're the ones that really.
But like sometimes that doesn't happen. I remember when the Butcher and Blade debuted in AEW to absolutely fucking silence.
See, it is possible to debut to silence. Do you know who didn't debut to silence? You in OTT. You had a fantastic debut. You came out of a fucking box.
That was
which
anybody
is
that comes out of a box is immediately over, according to Jim Cornette.
Well, you got a fucking hell of a pop, and like I know, it's not fucking. It's not an easy thing to debut. Going like, are they gonna pop? Are they? Like, well, what are they going to do? What's the reaction going to be? And like over the years, we've seen so many cases of people who should get certified pops don't get the pops you'd expect.
Grandmaster Sexay when he returned.
That was horrible. Like I felt so bad for that guy.
Yeah.
It was really bad. Yeah. I do think that about the Kevin Owens debut as well. I'm just like, it's a bit fucking muted.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I thought it was a bit. Not the NXT one was solid because he's got an audience that are on side. Just his main roster one was a little bit muted, but he's come good. I mean, it was same to fucking look at the Usos and Tamina. I'm like, I was looking at going, something cool's happening here, but like context hasn't really been established.
The splashes and stuff, and they were hitting splashes on.
Yeah, but also
was it the Hart Dynasty or something?
Yeah, because they debuted against the Hart Dynasty, and obviously those two families have such a long like relationship.
Wrestling has more than one royal family.
It certainly does. Yeah, we've probably glanced over most of them.
Yeah, like there's debuts that I've literally in the middle of conversation going, I've thought of this one, and now it's gone out of my head.
The one you'd be thinking about the most probably would be the Shockmaster, I guess. Day to day. When I'm going about my day-to-day business, I think mostly of the Shockmaster's debut.
That was the thing with the box when I was debuting.
Well, that's the thing.
I had to like run
I
through
had that fear for you watching that. I was like, I hope somebody hasn't. I hope Ole Anderson isn't knocking around backstage at the National Stadium, nailing planks and not telling boys, not telling the stage crew. No, you came out of that box like a badass. I don't know if you remember it, but like it was cool and had a great pop. But yeah, see, the inverse of that then is like, am I going to have a Shockmaster debut?
There have been some bad debuts.
Am I going to trip over the bottom of the box and I'm going to headbutt a small child sat in the front row and crush his fucking
was that
popcorn?
Live?
Was yours live? No, was the meeting?
But no, was the Shockmasters live on TV?
I think it was. Yeah, I think it was.
There's no way that was live.
Why did they air it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
We've just got the WWE Vault the other week dropped this fucking badass angle between Bam Bam Bigelow, fireballing Bret Hart in the face, and like Bam Bam and Bret had a great thing. Their interactions were really cool in terms of the matches that they did have. But that was a badass program that should have happened at the time, and it was such a cool angle. And they, for whatever reason, never broadcasted it. Never really had a really big, significant Bret Bam Bam feud. But you're going to tape the Shockmaster and then you're going to put that in there. That had to be live.
Yeah.
He fell on his fucking ass. Fell on his ass.
Nakamura in NXT was pretty fucking
amazing
solid.
Debut. What did he? But he just he just phoned in the middle of a show. Wasn't that the whole thing?
Nakamura.
Like William Regal pops him up on the fucking screen. Hey, how are you? Hey, I'm Shinsuke here.
No, I'm talking about his actual debut match against Sammy.
You're not talking about the build up for it.
No.
It wasn't surprising, but like, yeah, he just did a Skype call with William Regal live on NXT, and everyone's like, "Yep, perfect, sold."
Class. I'm into this Nakamura guy. Anybody? We kind of.
What makes a great debut? I do think an element of surprise is a big part of it.
The surprise it has to be like the anticipation, like. And we ruin it sometimes on ourselves. Even going back as far as like I knew Goldberg was going to debut in 2003.
Yeah, but what was cool? They announced it at WrestleMania, and then he shows up the next night on Raw.
Yeah, it goes up against The Rock, and it's cool to see.
And
Goldberg.
it's him straight up against The Rock, and he fucking trucks The Rock straight away. Tells him he's next.
But like
gold.
It has to be that element of surprise. I even remember when,
or not even surprise definitely is a big part of it. But also, even when it does come to an announcement, you're going, "Fuck! I'm so excited to see how this goes down."
I remember, you remember that video of Brock Lesnar guy doing that when Brock returns in 012. I was doing that at home watching it.
Everybody watching was like, Brock's coming back. Is
Fucking and that's a re-debut.
But the question was is it tonight? Because we didn't know it was. And
I didn't know if he was coming back.
I didn't know, until the next morning.
Until it happened. I was watching it live. I was like, it's fucking Brock fucking Lesnar.
Yeah.
Or when Mick Foley, he made a return, I think it was after Randy Orton spit in his face. No, he returned at the Rumble. It was before that when he was, I think he was doing something before the Randy Orton feud. And when Orton spits in his face, and I just remember popping that, oh, it's Mick fucking Foley.
Yeah.
And I didn't know it was going to be Mick Foley, but I ruined a lot of it on myself now.
I mean, returns are definitely
like Hardy Boys return at WrestleMania.
Yeah, but I feel like returns is we're doing ourselves out of a podcast episode here by talking specifically about returns.
Right, scratch all that.
Debuts, I think, need to be, it's your first time arriving in a promotion, and the impact of that can be huge. At times it can be like, it can be botched. The thing can be fucked up. You can be Matt Sydal in AEW. Shit can really go wrong. It can be more impactful than that, and you can go in. You have a solid way of reestablishing yourself, and having a great run. Do
you like Lights Go Dark in person in ring debut, or do you like
Aleister Black was fucking badass in it was fucking badass in AEW, and that was a very cool version of that they did.
I love like when the music hits and then there's your debut.
Yeah, it is nice. I think like surprise, definitely the impact of the thing itself and how it's presented is a big part of it. And also like how much of the guy or a girl gets to keep the act that we've grown accustomed to, or we've made a connection with.
Your face.
How accustomed we are to their faces, that also helps.
What's your favourite debut then?
I think Jericho's is the all-timer, and I think even in terms of my own life and my own fandom, that's the one that had the most. I remember like been so desperate to see that, and it wasn't. I missed it at the time. I don't know why. Something went down, but I remember having to like look on teletext. That's how fucking long ago to confirm if it actually happened.
Yeah.
But it took me ages to see it, but it was by far my best, and it was so well built up. And I think also it was weird as a wrestling fan at the time. I was, for the first time in my life, as a teenager, I was first getting used to this idea that guys might be badly utilized in one place and then come to another place and do better.
Yeah.
And I remember feeling that with Jericho's WCW run in the latter end of it. So there was a real excitement about him showing up in WWF and getting to see him, go straight into the main event, which didn't happen. Well, it actually wasn't long coming.
I have Scott Hall's debut in WCW. I remember watching Nitro as it was happening, and the whole Kevin Nash.
That's a re-debut, but again, context is everything. It's like time and place plays a factor in it as well, and what the potential storyline could be. I mean, I remember like as a kid watching that and been really kind of not knowing where the NWO thing was going, but being a little bit like disappointed because of how muted Nash's debut was. I thought Hall's was cool, but then when Nash showed up, I was like, he's fucking Diesel. He's just been a world champion for a year, and he's just kind of sauntering onto the set with his friend.
Now this is going to be a weird one, but because I love Mankind's debut and I love the vignettes, but Cactus Jack's debut. In WWE.
Fantastic.
And the way like Triple H sold.
Yeah, because you never thought it was going to happen.
Like that. And I know it's the same guy. But like the character of Cactus Jack.
But a more dangerous, scarier t-shirt.
Yeah, exactly. Bray Wyatt's debut, but I know he's in NXT, but his debut.
Would Bray be your top one?
I remember how it felt like the re-debut. So that's a return again. But I think my top one, and this is going to sound weird, but it's Kurt Angle in TNA, because I loved Kurt Angle, and I thought I was shocked in 2006 when he finished.
Yeah, it was so impactful at the time.
Yeah, and then like just to see, because I was massive TNA mark. Yeah, I love TNA. Just to see that happen. I remember without even seeing Kurt.
But that was effective, because I remember at the time, like most of my friends were Laps WWE had really just gone off the boil completely. So everyone was a Laps fan. I was on the fucking ropes, and that whole Kurt Angle TNA setup coming straight in with Samoa Joe, that got so many people interested in wrestling again. And it wasn't WWE, it was TNA.
Yeah.
And that TNA were on a real good run there for a while.
Yeah, I think we're also doing a disservice to not mention Carlito winning the Intercontinental title. On
What a way to debut, similar to Cena. But again,
Cena's debut. Sorry, that was another one.
Cena's debut. Yeah, but
ruthless aggression
again.
against Kurt Angle.
I'm back on the clothes, man. His jocks were like the George. Like I've been shading the George for a long time, but the George would have been a mercy compared to what he came out in. What times he came out in for his first fucking match.
The green and
that
white.
wasn't great. Carlito's a good one because he got the Razor Ramon treatment coming in terms of the vignettes. Very similar in many ways. They were brilliant vignettes. Best of that year, I think. And then he comes in and he immediately wins the Intercontinental title. So that's a hot way to debut.
And I liked when they did the draft. He immediately won the US title on the other brand when he went over there.
That was done very well. Look, what a sellable character. Cool dude who likes apples.
Perfect. And Taz, like
my dream gimmick.
In school discussing Taz.
Taz is up there for me, and also like the build up to Taz was very unique. It was it was almost that Wyatt-esque subliminal thing.
Yeah.
First time that's ever been done where like this image and this sound interrupt someone's entrance for like a brief
But I remember
couple of seconds. That was cool at the time.
people in school telling me about, because I had never seen ECW, but they were like, this guy is coming in, and the Dudleys would have been in by then, wouldn't they have? Or they come a bit
I
later?
think they didn't have much of a build up, to be fair.
Yeah, but I remember liking the and they were like, this is where Mick Foley used to be and this is where Stone Cold used to be, and I was like, oh, this guy must be fucking class.
Yeah,
And he was.
And he was.
But yeah. Wrestling debuts. Let us know down in the comments what your favourite. Did we miss any? We definitely missed stuff.
We definitely missed loads, but this is something we can circle back on. Maybe we used a lot of time on returns. Maybe talk about returns. Tell us how you would like to debut.
Yeah. How are you going to debut? Would you debut through a box? Because that's what
It's been done.
It's been done.
Find
Attila the
something
Butcher,
new.
did he debut from a box?
In
WCW?
In WCW, I believe he did, yeah.
Sabu?
He debuted in a box.
Did he?
He was rolled out of a box at one point, yeah. In crate, wasn't he?
Yeah, I thought he was-
Chainsaw Charlie, of course.
Terry Funk, the legends. Please like and subscribe. Ring that notification bell. That's the thing that you have to say on YouTube.
Okay.
Apparently, that's a rule that you have to say. Please comment below, though. That really kind of helps the channel. And thanks very much for tuning in with the watch-alongs. All Elite Moro will be out soon. He's dressed up like Armando Alejandro Estrada right now over in London. So leave that in his comments for him. And yeah, I've been the Beefy Boy Shaz Beef. This has been Johnny the Beast Mortos. Talk to you next time.